Woo! Rusted Pencils, fully leaded education talk. Educated educators talking education Friday. Woohoo! Jakob, producer's choice day. Man, I had to clear my schedule to be available for my own show today, Jacob. So I appreciate the invite. And I'm sure Johnny Lupinacci also is happy to be here.
Oh yeah, ecstatic, man. This is one of my favorite shows of all time. It happens once a week, so I'm lucky that I get to experience it once a week. Just pure joy. So happy to be here.
Okay, before Jacob, you take over though, I gotta ask you guys to give me a read on a situation I had today.
I like that.
I'm here.
Right.
Read.
All right,
Reading.
I had to give kind of like opening welcome remarks to a guest speaker at our institution who was addressing our cyber security computer science majors and their field. And all the students in that major were there in attendance. And the professor who put on this event, did the actual first opening remarks. And I mean, I'm talking a head full of hair, like lots of big curly hair going. And he says, I'd like to welcome Dr. Tim Slekar up. And I came up and, I just was kind of like, I'm like, man, I didn't get the hair memo for the day. And I looked out and it was like the biggest comedic flop ever. Stone face.
Well, since Pootie Tang.
Hey, don't talk about one of my favorite movies that way.
Silence and looks of like and then I even went a little bit further going, come on here. I mean, come on, look at Professor's hair. Look at me. I got the wrong memo.
Tim, you got, I think,
dug in on the.
If we learned anything from Kramer, it's that once they're not laughing, don't double down on whatever you're saying. Just give up on that bit.
Did it get better, or did they
no, and so then I'm like, okay, wow, tough crowd, and then I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I'm in a Saturday Night Live sketch because I'm trying to drop humor on the IT guys, and it didn't work because they can't get that kind of humor, or they got it and were expressing, happiness, but I wasn't able to see the connection because, it was a different audience. And so, here I was trying to, have a little bit of fun with, the guys that come into my office and go, is it plugged in? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's plugged in. Well, I mean, I don't know. Let me sit down here. So I'm just wondering if a group of future cybersecurity majors, it was, I was still funny, right? It was the audience is what I'm asking you guys.
Tim, I think sometimes the audience's reaction is the measurement of funny. Although I think you've turned the moment into something funny, like for us, and listeners are probably, doing the laughing now, like, hey, that actually is pretty funny. Good frame. But man, this sounds like many of my opening classes in the last couple of years. For a good decade, I could say, allow me to reintroduce myself.
Yeah.
And people would come into the famous lines of, Jay-Z songs that I had grown up on. And, now I say stuff like that and people are like, I don't understand what this guy's saying. Like, he said some pretty weird things and it's just quiet.
But you're talking about a historical type of reference. I'm talking about, look at the head here, Johnny. Okay. There's no doubt of my baldness. And the intro speaker, and in fact, anybody who can watch us can see that all three of us are, good representations. And so when you get up right after a guy with a big head full of curly ass hair,
Curly ass hair. What kind of show is it?
Yeah. Whoa.
Whoa, that took a turn. Now I know why they weren't laughing, Tim.
all right.
Getting everybody
All right.
canceled.
Look,
Ne-
Tim,
never mind.
I appreciate your attempt at self-defecating humor, but it didn't go over well. I appreciate, Tim, that your joke bombed and you said, no, this must be the audience's fault. These guys are just too technical. It's just infeasible that my joke wasn't funny. It must be the darn audience.
Yeah, it's the tech-oriented students. Nothing to do with the fact of their generation's, consciousness of, body shaming and or maybe, being like, whoa, he said something about that other guy's hair, or maybe he's saying something about his hair. Either way, I'm not sure if I should laugh. So
Tim said, no, guys, don't worry. I'm ashamed already. You can laugh. You're not shaming me. I know it's bad.
Okay, so then to follow it up, I go down to the main guest speaker, who's a cybersecurity expert from Carnegie Mellon, University of Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, man, I said, I felt like I was on a Saturday Night Live skit. I said, your crowd doesn't seem to get humor, do they? And he agreed with me.
yeah. All right, he's on your team.
I don't know, and maybe
what you should have said is, "Wow, I didn't know you had to have 6 or 7 inches of hair," and then they would have gone nuts. They would have loved it.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, Jacob, come on back to
Tim. Before you give another speech, you got to sit down with your producer and say, Jacob, help me spin a few lines here.
I'm here to help
to access the generation out there who's attending, and he's got you, man. See, he knew how to spin that joke so that you would have got a big 6-7 out of the audience. Been an epic moment.
All right, 6-7, sure, whatever. Jacob, it's back to you. It's your show, man.
And you know who hasn't asked 6 or 7 questions yet on the show that he asked questions on? This guy. We're 12 minutes into the program, but let's get going with the Producer's Choice Show.
For choo-choo, producer Jacob's Choice, chairman of the board.
Ow! You now have 2 choices.
Chairman of the board, Jacob.
Ow! Jacob, chairman of the board.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
We choose to go to the moon.
Life's full of tough choices in it.
You chose poorly.
Tim, Dr. Johnny, fellas. Guys, you're correct. It's Thanksgiving. Because 200 years ago, George Washington and the Pilgrims set forth upon this continent with a brand new country called America. They landed at Plymouth Rock, met Squanto, and frankly, everything went really great. We had the first Thanksgiving, yada, 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 and here we are today as the greatest country on earth. Now, yesterday, we continued that greatest of American traditions by celebrating Thanksgiving. It's a day for spending time with those we love and also with our family members, eating delicious foods laced with sleep-inducing chemicals, and planning out what things we want to risk our lives for on Black Friday. Nice. Today, I'm joined by 2 jive turkeys that we can all be thankful for on this episode of the Producer's Choice Show. Doctors Tim Slekar and Johnny Lupinacci. Doctors, thank you so much for being here today on your own show.
Of course.
Of course, man. Appreciate it.
Now, for anybody new here, the Producer's Choice Show is the show where I, producer Jacob, ask interesting topical questions to Tim and Johnny right here on their own show. And today, I'm going to start us off with a pretty easy one. I'm going to ask you gentlemen this. What did you do for Thanksgiving this year, Tim?
Jacob. Well, typically this is going to be a Thanksgiving where get to not say something because the past two Thanksgivings, supplying the turkey dinner for the family, um, and Johnny, I think will remember this. In addition to the bird, I also had to prepare the anti-bird,
Whoa.
Oh, that's right.
the tofu turkey,
Tofurkey.
the tofurkey, man, and yeah. Vegans and vegetarians were around the table for the last 2 years, and
Mhm.
so this year, first of all, I wasn't the preparer of the dinner. Back round to my mom and dad, it was their job to host this year, and I got to kind of sit back and watch how different family members um, found something throughout the day that they were offended by other family members. But yet, sitting down for the dinner, there was no trace of the angst, animosities, and anxieties that occurred up until the Thanksgiving feast. And so, for that, Jacob, I was really thankful this past Thanksgiving.
Well, Tim, is that how you guys do things? You're kind of on a rotation hosting Thanksgiving. It's like the World Series. We do one here, then we go do one over there.
Well, it's been a bit of a challenge because I've been a bit of a mess with my family. Having lived in New York, having lived in Pennsylvania, having lived in Wisconsin, having lived in Ohio, and now living in Pennsylvania.
You're a rambling man.
Yeah. So I kind of messed up
Lord, I was born a rambling man.
the flow. So yeah, lots of times it's been different, but this year actually this was a return year to tradition, because my parents most of the time have always been the Thanksgiving hosts, but you know um 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. Getting to the point now, though, Jacob, where I'm thinking, you know what? Uh, a DoorDash Thanksgiving might have been something to be thinking about. That's all I'm saying. But no, it was great. I got to go back to Clairton, Pennsylvania. Yeah, that magical steel town city where the Deer Hunter cast was from, and sit around and yeah, actually get to spend some quality time with family members who typically don't get to spend a lot of time with each other. So it was kind of that classic, holy crap, you're now old type of thing. So yeah, but always appreciate Thanksgiving and mostly appreciate not having to prepare the tofurkey.
I think we can all appreciate not having to have a tofurkey, Tim. I think that resonates all across this great country. Johnny, how about you? What did you do for Thanksgiving? I know you've got a big old tribe there just in your house. Do you guys have your own Thanksgiving, or do you travel? What's the Johnny Thanksgiving all about?
Well, I'll tell you guys, I didn't get the memo about hair.
Okay.
Oh man, look at I got a laugh out of that. It does work, Tim. The joke does work.
So it is just you, Tim.
Yeah. The idea, like Thanksgiving was awesome. I talked about before. Aside from some of the complexities of holding space for both having a day where we celebrate what we're thankful for and grateful for, it's also a little bit of, holding some space for, the not so nice parts of history. So it's also a day of mourning for a lot of our friends of the family who are Indigenous folks. So kind of hold space for it to be, a holiday with a lot of feelings. It's always a tough one to think about, lost family members too. Like our family's experienced some losses in the last couple of years. And so it's different. But it's a great Thanksgiving. I cook a big meal, not shocking. I love a substantial meal. I'm a big fan of food. So a whole day planned around cooking, feeding friends, and eating copious amounts of green bean casserole, of pumpkin pie and sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top, mac and cheese, turkeys. I cooked a couple of turkeys this year and went with, a couple different ways of making them, and, brining one and then buttering another one. Oh man, I love to eat. I could go on and on. So a whole day around food. But we went to locally. There is a local middle school counselor. It's just amazing gal, Mrs. Mott, and she hosts the Mackenzie Mott Memorial Turkey Trot. A loss in our local community of her 15-year-old daughter a few years ago turned a difficult day into something that brings community together. It's a pretty huge event where we live, so it's fun to go out and see all the middle school students, high school students, former students of hers, current students, families, all participate in a local turkey trot. So even though all of my life I said there's two types of people. The types of people who get up, stay in their PJs, watch the parade, put on football, and eat all day, families. And then there's the ones that go run in those turkey trots in the morning. And there's only two types. And now I'm both. So, I went on that turkey trot. It was good time, great community event. One of those ways where, folks as part of, we talk about it here on Busted Pencils all the time, how public education brings together community. That's just one of those moments, local counselor at the middle school, just beloved by students, turns that day into a really heartwarming memorial where the community comes out and does something that's part of a Thanksgiving tradition around, I'd say around the country. I know that members of my family, even though I strongly identified as the get up, stay in your PJs and cook kind of guy for Thanksgiving, my mom, who is now passed, used to go to turkey trot in Detroit with my brother, who's a runner. Go figure. He likes running. The guy actually likes to run. I always said running was a punishment in every sport I ever played in. So, no, it was a good day. Lots of time with family. Of course, got a big family here, so feeding them is, just a joy. So it was a great day of eating. Having the football games on, the Mackenzie Mott Memorial Turkey Trot, and then just chilling and relaxing.
That's a great answer, guys. I appreciate both of your stories. For me, I am thankfully a child of divorce, so I've got two Thanksgivings to go to, which will be great. They're both pretty close by. We're eyeing each other from across town, two rival Thanksgivings full of delicious birds and no tofurkey. So that's, I think we can all be thankful for that. I'm going to give you both a gobble for those answers. This one's for Johnny. Those are slightly different takes on the gobble. I hope those with a fine ear can tell. Johnny, what's a turkey trot for people who are Thanksgiving PJ guys like me?
Well, I mean, they range in what they are. The one I did was, I believe, if I'm again, I'm not a runner, and I would say I mostly fast walked this one, but it's like 2.5 miles, 5K. Just kind of a tradition, I think, around the country. I think they change in lengths, but they're like mini marathons. I know in Detroit, it's a big deal. You get your number, and it's actually a race for those who really competitively run. But it's like Thanksgiving morning. Usually, it's a big kind of running event, and it's usually like a 5K or might be even longer in some cities. But it's a nice. I was walking at a brisk pace, I'd say. I'm not a big runner guy, so I was kind of jogging at times just to fit in with the crowd, like peer pressure, and then I was fast walking the rest, mall walking, as I like to call it. Got my sneakers on. But yeah, in general, for those listening who don't know about turkey trots, they're just an opportunity to get out with members of their community and run like a mini marathon or some kind of little course through the city. Usually, I know in Detroit, it's pre-parade. Detroit has a big Thanksgiving Day parade. So you'd get up early anyways to go to the parade if you're that kind of family. And I was always a big watching on TV guy. But, as I got older, members of my family sort of took up the tradition of going and running in the, Detroit's turkey trot and then sticking around and hanging out. And, maybe having a few beverages of choice and watching the parade and then coming back. And I'd be like, welcome back. Here's all the food. Let me feed you. So, working up an appetite on Thanksgiving, maybe even some kind of say it's the counterbalance to the sit and eat to get up and move. But in this context for us, it's a big kind of community bonding, memorial for families that is tough. Like you have lost family members. A big family day can sometimes be a difficult one. So what better way to do it than to share it with as many people and positive vibes as you can. And, that certainly took place. So loved that.
And I'm just wondering, I know at a lot of marathons and fun runs and things like that, they also try to raise money for causes. Is that kind of part of it too?
Yep, absolutely. For a fund, almost always their charity events. So there's an entry fee and donations and all kinds of sponsors, all usually going to a cause, whether it's, some of them to fight cancer, some of them to end hunger, some of them to help like families experiencing poverty, all kinds. This one, I believe, goes to a scholarship fund, to help families and with school stuff. So yeah, generally they're an opportunity to raise money, like a giving activity.
We do a lot of thanks. It's also good to do the giving on Thanksgiving, and I appreciate that. Now, talking about going for a nice trek, I'm wondering, Tim, are you going to trek out today to do any Black Friday shopping? Have you ever been a Black Friday guy?
No, never. I mean, there is nothing about, going after incredibly, ridiculously large screen TVs for low prices that would ever get me out the door. I am a Black Friday kind of like guy who, I gotta tell you, for me, that's a nice day off, and I get to go do a little bit of hiking and head out into the woods and spend some time in nature. Because that following, in Pennsylvania, Johnny will remember that because on Monday, Jacob, it is the truest religious holiday of all in Pennsylvania. It's the first day of deer season.
Oh boy.
And
a sin.
That, so then we have truly not going after tofurkey, but going after the venison. So Friday is a nice day for me to get out and do a little scouting to get ready and to solidify where I'm going to locate my butt at like 5 a.m. on Monday.
I had no idea that you were a decorated deer hunter, Tim.
Oh yeah, man.
You never
take them down, Jake. I take them down.
And he heads to his house where his kids that are vegan and animal rights oriented boycott his hunting practices. It's tension in the Slekar house.
No, it's actually they both grew up. Took my son out many times. But he absolutely did not like the whole idea of killing. And he is the vegan. My daughter became the vegetarian, but I took her out hunting. In fact, one of her courses in her college that, in fact, she's about to graduate here in December. She's in wildlife and natural resources management major, and one of the courses was a Hunting in America course, and her homework for over the Thanksgiving break was to go hunting with her dad.
And was that a really hard assignment for her?
No, it was actually, I mean, she was fine. She enjoyed it. She didn't want to kill anything, and we didn't really get to see anything that day. But no, so yeah, I like Black Friday for the ability to get out in the woods and kind of get my head around, like going, okay, yeah, on Monday morning, this is going to be a good spot. I can feel it.
In case our friends from PETA are getting angry, let me say, not to toot my own horn, but I also produce Raised in Wisco here in Civic Media, and they have taught me that hunting is also a big, important part of conservation. So that, if you do love animals, you love deer, you don't want them to be overpopulated because then that sucks for the deer. So Tim is actually part of helping animals and helping himself to a delicious meal.
Exactly, Jacob. And here's the other thing that I'll tell you. There's another, thing that hates deer. Those are cars in the back. And actually, part of that overpopulation issue has a lot to do with car and deer collisions. With that. And of course, I mean, I know people are going like, but what? Yes, I know. Overdevelopment of deer lands is also pushing them into smaller spaces, creating more overcrowding, pushing them then to run in front of your cars. I get all that. I get it, Jacob. I think I'm actually a pretty ethical hunter, and if we ever want to do truly a show, an education show on hunting and its place in not just America, but in recognizing that we all eat, and eating actually requires killing. And people are going, I eat strawberries. I know you do. But if you eat strawberries in February and you're from Wisconsin, your strawberries were on a truck that came from California to bring you those strawberries. And that truck killed a few deer on the way there. Had you not needed to eat your strawberries in February in Wisconsin, then maybe I can talk to you. But it's just the complexity of, so even vegetarianism requires some form of killing, and that's not to then glorify it. It's to acknowledge that it's a complex issue being alive.
I remember I was out in California in a stand and I saw this strawberry about 80 yards out. And that was a great day for me, hitting that strawberry. Johnny, same question to you. I know it's hard to remember what it was because we ended up on shooting strawberries. But at the outset, have you ever been a Black Friday guy? What do you think?
I've never been a Black Friday guy. Again, like I said before, I was pretty firm about the stay in my pajamas, watch football, cook food for all the folks. Even though I do participate in the turkey trot this year, it got me out moving around. Man, I love days off. I'm blue collar scholar. I work hard on the work days, and to have a Friday where you're not working, I worked retail jobs occasionally in my come up, like early college, maybe here or there, especially seasonal, because it's always great to make some extra money. So, I know it's a big work day for a lot of folks who are doing important work in the retail sector. But man, I like to just stay home. There's so few days that you can just relax at home. I'm not a big Black Friday guy. However, I will admit the tinge of Black Friday I do participate in, if I do, tends to be online stuff. Right. I know, which stinks for local industry. Hey, I am a big fan of the local, support local business Saturday. I think we talked about it earlier this week on the show. I will go out of my way, on time off to do that, because I think that's super important. Our local shops and different things. Sometimes they'll have a pre-holiday market, or start to get ready for the holidays. I'm a big fan of that. But the most traditional thing I do on Black Friday is usually do either a big house project. We're cleaning the house really deeply this weekend, and catching up with that marathon that is August to November for educators. So that's a big chill thing. And then the other thing is I will look. I love one of my guilty pleasures in life are collecting hockey jerseys, and some of them go on sale, like most things. And so, this year I may have purchased a Team USA jersey on a Black Friday sale, because it's an Olympic year. So getting ready for Olympics, and it's best on best again.
I hope it wasn't a Fanatics jersey, Johnny. Those drive me nuts.
Oh, Jacob.
I don't want
Why
to
you
get
gotta
into
be
it too
so?
much, Johnny, but I'm just
I
saying
mean, I'm with you.
when
I'm with
I
you,
go
but
on the internet, it's like, oh, here's a jersey for $187, and then it's not even an ironed on number. It's just print. I'm like, what is this? What are you doing
yeah,
to
the
me?
Fanatics. Yeah, they have a contract with most professional sports organizations right now, and
Where's my 1990s Adidas jersey that's got stitching and whoa,
yeah,
love 'em.
yeah. I know. Well, you'll be pleased to know that there are stitched Nike jerseys coming out, and even the
Cool.
Fanatics jerseys this year for Team USA. The Fanatics does have kind of a corner on professional sports right now, and this hockey team will be stacked with skaters and pros from the NHL, so it's a pro team. So there is contractual obligations for Fanatics to be the retailer of those jerseys. But I would say this one is stitched. It's a nice stitched jersey that I
Nice.
may have ordered on Black Friday. But yeah, other than the online stuff that comes through my social media, right, and reminds me, ooh, sale. I'm not a big Black Friday guy. I've never been one to get up early and go wait in line for anything. Just too much, man. It's to 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 not sound too judgmental, because I won't even get into like the politics of Black Friday, but also just kind of makes me a little sad. Right? Like it's like, if most of America would agree things cost too much to the point where like a big sale is something we compete with one another for. It's like a mini version of the Hunger Games. It just gets me kind of in my feelings, and I would rather avoid that and stay with my turkeys, right? And just eating leftovers and doing home projects and settling into the winter that's about to happen. Another thing I love to do, although we haven't gotten enough snow yet here. Usually there's enough snow. A Black Friday snowboard trip, chance to get up into the mountains on early snowfall has been a tradition when there's snow. There's no snow for it this year, but hopefully it's coming.
That was a good one. John, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it right now. That you earned that gobble. That was a good answer. I like that.
Nice.
Yeah. What about me?
All right. That was a sympathy gobble, Tim. I want you to know that. All right.
A participation gobble.
Yes. Fellas, we talk about education. We talk about the news, and sort of with the news, it tends to be talking about things that are negative. I mean, we try to bring in the positive, but we're responding to events happening. I want to take a minute because it's Black Friday. We just had Thanksgiving, and I want to ask you, what's something that you're thankful for in education this year? Dr. Tim Slekar, hit us with it.
Ooh,
Earn that gobble.
In education this year. Man, Jacob. That's I like that. You hear me stalling?
I do, yeah.
You know what? Here's what I'm actually thankful for. I am thankful for that in all of the chaos and the dismantling that, of course, we highlight here on the show, that the incredible innovations that we still continue to see. And again, I'm going to point and give our big props out to Mike Bigley up there at CISA 4 in Wisconsin, who, is saying, hey, guess what? You know what? Alpha School, maybe $40,000 a year for private, AI Incorporated, but Mike Bigley, the CISA 4 area, rural Wisconsin, public school, they are innovating, bringing AI, job readiness, workforce education, relevancy, sponsors with incredible Ashley furniture. I'm talking that stuff. And when I see pockets of that, and I know they're happening everywhere, that's what I'm thankful for, because, the show has always been pro public education. And anybody listening, though, knows that Johnny and I have been incredibly critical of the way schooling has usually, come about. The remembering of what it was like to sit there in rows and all those things. So we've always been critical of technically what we call pedagogy or teaching, bad teaching. We've been critical. So anytime I see that innovation, and there are lots and lots of other places, I am thankful that we get to have a show and highlight and bring those cases out into the public in a world that is constantly beating down on teachers, educators, and all those leaders involved in public education. That's my thankfulness.
Tim, you earned this one, and I'm going to give this one to Tim and Mike Bigley. Shout out to both of you.
Yeah.
That was great. Now, Johnny, same question to you. It's Thanksgiving. Tell me something you're thankful for in education this year.
Yeah, I think I'm thankful for all the teachers out there who are doing the hard work day in and day out, despite, as we've said, many weeks on end here at Busted Pencils. It is the hardest time in any of our careers. And Tim and I have been teaching a pretty long time. It is no joke, the hardest time to be a teacher, whether it's, the threat or fear of school shootings, or it's the constant cuts to funding to essential aspects of what children need in schools, or it's just, the labor conditions for teachers. We talk about how hard and difficult it is, but I'm grateful and I'm extraordinarily thankful for, all the hard work for great teachers continuing to teach children in their classrooms, and for showing up every day and, providing with what I think every kid deserves. And that's an awesome teacher. So I'm grateful for all you educators out there who are doing teaching. And I guess tangent to that, anyone out there who supports teachers, whether you're a parent, whether, you're a principal, whether, your staff somewhere in the school system, or you're just a person in the community who says, hey, you're a teacher, aren't you? This coffee's on us, right? It's just really great. So I'm thankful and grateful for all you educators out there, and tangent to that, every one of you who supports teachers doing that work that they do. So I'm grateful for our teachers, Jacob.
I think we're all grateful for our teachers, Johnny. I agree with you absolutely on that one. Shout out to not just our listener teachers out there, but all teachers around this country and around the world. Thank you for the work that you do. That's always something bright. No matter what the news is, we know our teachers are out there working hard. I've got one last regulation question for you guys, and I think we'll keep it here with you, Johnny. What's your favorite item in the classic Thanksgiving food pantheon?
Cranberry. I love cranberry sauce. And this is, I'll admit it here, I make a really good homemade cranberry sauce from fresh cranberries. And yes, I like it, but man, nothing makes me happier on Thanksgiving Day than a can of that jelly log of cranberry, like comes right out of the can, and you kind of slice it up. Man, I love that stuff. I've loved it since I was a kid. I look forward to it. You would think there's some kind of rule where you can only have it on Thanksgiving, because for as much as I love it, I should just get it all the time. But I don't. I only have it once a year, and big fan of the jellied cranberry blob that comes out of a can and is absolutely just delicious with all parts of the meal. It makes it for me.
Dr. Tim Slekar, favorite Thanksgiving food?
The stuffing with turkey gravy right there, man. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. In fact, more than any other part of the meal, turkey included. So
I agree.
Short and sweet there, Jacob.
I'm with you, Tim. I think stuffing is my favorite part of Thanksgiving, too. And the thing I like about stuffing is on its own, it's okay. But when you pair it with a little bit of mashed potatoes, a little bit of turkey, some cranberries, then the stuffing is fantastic. And that's just like us here on Busted Pencils. We're all good. But when we come together for educated educators, that's when we really thrive. Fellas, I want to thank you this year for giving me the chance to host the Producer's Choice Show, the #1 rated show within a show anywhere in America. This is the 27th episode of Producer's Choice. It's been a great year so far, guys. thank you for this opportunity to host you on your own show.
Hey-o. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
And with that, I've got time for one last very important question.
Let's go!
Going to start with you, Dr. Tim Slekar. Is it okay to start putting up your Christmas decorations now that Thanksgiving has ended? How do you feel about that?
I am okay with it. I myself won't be doing it, but I get it, and I appreciate it. And in fact, some of those earlier this week too, I even appreciate those people.
Now, how early is acceptable, Tim? This is a big debate in our society right now.
It's got to be at least middle of November for me.
Okay.
Anything being, let's get through Halloween and get over the stomach ache of the Halloween candy, and then maybe throw up a little pre-Christmas decorations.
That seems reasonable to me, Tim. I think we can all get behind that. Or can we? It's Johnny's turn to give his answer. Dr. Johnny Lupinacci, when is it okay to start putting up your Christmas stuff if you celebrate Christmas?
Yeah, I think for me, and I'm gonna espouse this like broadly, I think after Thanksgiving. I think as soon as you're done with Thanksgiving, boom, it's like, hey, let's go ahead. It's green light, literally and figuratively. Let's get the lights up. Let's get the Christmas decorations out. Big fan of anytime after Thanksgiving. It's fair game. It's welcomed. It's sort of fun. And I even don't mind when establishments do it like maybe the week of Thanksgiving, because I do like, the night lights of like you might go out and to go for a walk and you start to see them. So I'll extend that. For me, it's after Thanksgiving dinner, maybe not that night, but at least the next day. But I will say I do enjoy seeing it during the week. So anytime around Thanksgiving, I'm okay with.
I agree. Let's wait until, Thanksgiving is over, because, when else are you going to give the giant inflatable turkey his time to shine? All right. Don't put up the Christmas stuff next to him. Let him gobble up some attention for once. But Tim, I think with that, there's time for one last thing.
Well, Jacob, now it's time for your moment of Zen. To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness.
Thank you, listener. We are grateful and thankful for you, and especially thankful for you listening to this episode of Producer's Choice. And remember to grab great podcasts packed full with more Busted Pencils content on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on the Civic Media website. Hey, and don't be late for homeroom on Monday, and be sure to grab next week's class in session on Wednesday. And if you don't already know, well, then you're going to love this. But you can catch Busted Pencils broadcast every Saturday at 3 p.m. Central Time across all the Civic Media Network stations for 1 hour of your favorite blue-collar scholars, Tim and Johnny, and keep busting pencils.